Welcome to our multi-state fundraising compliance series, brought to you by Ironwood Registrations. In these explainers, we break down the practical fundraising compliance rules for nonprofit leaders, state by state. And today, we're diving into North Dakota.
So, you're thinking about fundraising in North Dakota? That's great, but there's a really simple rule you've got to know right from the start. You absolutely must register with the state before a single fundraising appeal ever goes out.
And here's where it gets kind of interesting. While the initial registration in North Dakota might look familiar, the way they handle ongoing compliance has a surprising little twist that really sets it apart from almost every other state.
Okay, let's start at the beginning, getting registered. First things first, all charitable fundraising in the state is regulated by the Secretary of State's Licensing Division. Think of them as the ones who maintain the public registry and make sure everyone is playing by the rules.
So, who exactly needs to register? Well, the rules are pretty broad. It applies whether your nonprofit is based right there in North Dakota or located somewhere else and just reaching out to North Dakota residents. And this is a big one. It absolutely covers modern fundraising methods. So your online donate button, social media campaigns, and email blasts, yep, they all count as solicitation.
The initial process itself is pretty standard stuff. You'll file the application online with the Secretary of State, and you'll submit your core documents. Things like your IRS determination letter, your most recent Form 990, and a list of your leadership.
And the initial filing fee? It's just $25. It's a relatively low, straightforward cost to get your organization properly registered and on the books with the state.
Now, for all you organizations that are based outside of North Dakota, there are a few extra steps you'll need to take to be fully compliant. This is super important. Out-of-state nonprofits don't just register to fundraise. You also have to qualify to do business by filing for a certificate of authority. This comes with an additional $50 fee, and you have to designate a registered agent. That's a local contact with a physical address in North Dakota for official mail. This registered agent requirement is a key distinction from a lot of other states.
Okay, now for that twist I mentioned. Once you're registered, how do you stay compliant year after year? This is where North Dakota charts its own course. It's not about renewals, it's all about reporting.
So here's where North Dakota's process really stands out. Most states require you to file a full annual renewal of your registration. North Dakota doesn't do that. Instead, you simply file an annual financial report to keep your status active. This annual report comes with a smaller $10 fee, and the process is simplified too, since the report itself is usually just a copy of your organization's annual IRS Form 990 or a similar financial statement.
Now, this is probably the most important detail to remember. The annual report is due on September 1st. It's a fixed, universal deadline for every single charity, and it doesn't matter what your organization's fiscal year is.
What if you need more time? Well, you can request an extension to December 1st, but there's a big catch. The request itself has to be submitted on or before that September 1st deadline. If you miss that window, you're out of luck. No extension.
So what happens if you miss the deadline? And on the flip side, who's exempt from these rules in the first place? Let's cover the consequences and the exemptions you need to be aware of to maintain your good standing.
This is the question every compliance officer and executive director should be asking. Because unlike other states, North Dakota doesn't just send you a notice with a late fee.
The penalty for missing the deadline is pretty significant. Your organization is swiftly removed from the state's registry of approved charities. To fix it, you can't just pay a fine. You have to go all the way back to square one and file a brand new initial registration all over again. Of course, not every organization has to register. North Dakota provides automatic exemptions for certain groups, which means you don't even need to apply for them. This includes religious organizations that don't file a Form 990, accredited educational institutions, and government agencies. All right, we've covered a lot of ground, so let's distill all of this down to the most important takeaways for your nonprofit. Let's do a quick recap of the critical points. Remember, registration is mandatory before you solicit. Your annual filing is a financial report, not a full renewal. That filing is due on a fixed deadline, September 1st, for everyone. And finally, if you're an out-of-state nonprofit, that registered agent is non-negotiable.
If you take away just one thing from this, let it be this: that September 1st deadline is everything. Because it's not tied to your fiscal year, it's very, very easy to miss if you're not tracking it specifically.
Managing unique rules like North Dakota's, on top of dozens of other states with their own requirements, can quickly become a complex and time-consuming task for any nonprofit.
North Dakota's laws are designed for transparency, and staying compliant is a key part of building donor trust.
If your team needs help managing these unique requirements, Ironwood Registrations specializes in this work. You can find out more at ironwoodregistrations.com.